What's good, party people? This is Vieira in the Woods. I'm According to Woods, and he is former UF MMA champion, the one and only Voodoo Maximus. Hey guys,
What's up,
yeah, man.
champ? What's up, champ? What's good with you, man?
Everything and nothing at all, man. Just crazy enough. I finally, total disclosure, folks. The last couple of times we did the show, I hadn't actually watched the show because there was whatever other shit that I was doing that day, and I'm not trying to make myself seem a little bit more important than the task at hand. But it was just stuff, right? So this time I actually got caught up. I saw every fight, and this is. I mean, would you agree if I called if this year's WrestleMania was Mea Culpa Mania, where Hulk Hogan wanted to get on the good side of folk, right, of color. He basically had to be there with Titus O'Neil, and Titus O'Neil wanted to get into the Hall of Fame with the Warrior Word, but he had to co-host with Hulk Hogan. It was Mea Culpa Mania, seriously. This UFC Tate versus Vieira was Decision Mania. Decision Mania was running wild all over the UFC Apex last night. Holy shit, man. And not to say that there wasn't any great fights, because there were, but if you were a fighter, wanting to get that all-important 50 Gs for either a submission of the night or, not so much a performance, because you could have got a performance bonus, but like a KO of the night, this wasn't for you, man. I mean, and you can attribute it to either, amazing matchmaking, that everything was a dogfight, but also if you're, I mean, shit, dude, like one fucking finish the entire 11 fight card.
Stiff competition, man. Stiff competition. Sometimes it has to be like that. Sometimes when you've matched up all the super matches that you can match up, you know what I mean? It cycles back to the bottom, so to speak. Not to say these people are at the bottom, but they competition is pretty much even, just like you just said. And when competition is even, it's hard to pull a knockout out. It's hard to pull a submission out. It's hard. And that's why it's unanimous split all the way down the middle, man. But last Thursday, I found myself doing the same thing. It's a 50-50 split. You know what I mean? 50. I was like, Woods will go 50-50 on me with this one right here. You know what I mean? And that's what we have most of the time. This whole, I mean, straight up the line, bro. One rear naked choke. One rear naked choke, just like you said. It was what it was. It was more like a learning experience. Say I'm a fighter, a card like this would be something for me to learn from. Because it does get tough sometimes. You can't get that finish. And it was a show of adversity and ways of winning a UFC match. Sports winning, you know what I mean? It was what it was.
You definitely almost cited that all-important Scott Steiner promo of the 33 thirds and one half of winning and all that. Samoa Joe, sacrifice. Like, it's good. But I guess, I think it's I mean, first off, how are you? What's been going on in the Voodoo Maximus Empire?
Oh, so today was a quarterback day. The twins are like, yo, we want to try quarterback. You should teach us. I was like, you know what? All right, you know what I mean? Let's go check it out. Let's go see what's cracking here. So we went out there. We got a couple of work in. They're rolling left and right. Everything was just running smooth. It was really rocky in the beginning, but once they got the footwork down, the flow was there. Now we need to build strength so we can throw further.
Yeah, that's amazing. That's you're literally fostering gridiron greats within your own home. That's the term I always like, gridiron. Like It's a factory. You remember those old creepy crawlers, thing? You put the goop in the dang thing, and you put them
Yeah,
in the
yeah,
iron,
yeah,
and you put
yeah.
them in the dang stove. It was the male form
I
of
remember the
the Easy Bake.
commercials.
Yeah, it was the male form of the Easy Bake Oven, right? Like, but
Yeah,
we couldn't
yeah.
eat our gummies or what have you. But like that always stuck with me in terms of gridiron, right? So you are literally cultivating these
Molding.
gridiron greats within your very own home.
That's right, man. That's right. Hey, if the kids want it, gotta support it. Gotta support it. Because one thing is gonna be guaranteed. If it's something that they want, they're gonna put 100% into it, rather than something that I want them to do. So let's see what's up.
Man, damn, that's awesome. And you played a little bit of the football, or the ball of foot that has no feet, as played here in America. So that they're following a bit of a lineage in the Inila Lobo household, aren't they?
Hey, I played some running back and some safety when I played. I mean, when I was growing up, Michael Vick was the man. You know, the point my in my entirety of football, the most appealing player to me was Michael Vick. Yes, Barry Sanders was there. Yes, Deion Sanders was there. Yes, 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 yes. But when it all comes down to the bottom line, that quarterback position is the most important position. You know what I'm saying? When it comes down to it, that's the most important position. And Michael Vick was the most appealing to me. He was. Yes, the other guy has 10 rings. And yes, this guy had 6 rings and 12 rings and whatever. I get it. I get it. But I'm thinking about that position itself. The most appealing person to me has been Michael Vick.
I like it, and I that was one of the like I had a couple you know, like I'm rocking a San Francisco 49er, vintage shirt. That was because I was born in San Francisco during a time where, I mean, we had two back-to-back quarterbacks in, Joe Montana and Steve Young, so it's something, it's easy to rock those colors, and I don't even watch football nowadays, but every time I get a
Me
Madden,
too.
yeah, every time I get a Madden, I'm fucking yoking out. I'm maxing out the salary cap. If I've seen somebody like on a Twitter, somehow and whatever, and I'm like, oh, they're good, I shift them all over to the fucking
Yeah.
Niners. I don't care. Like Tom Brady's a
Yeah.
fucking Niner. I don't give a shit. Like I get all the best players of that season. Especially if they're on the free agent. Fuck, if they're on the free agent, you best believe they're doing one season with the Niners. So that's
That's
what I
right.
do. So I'm just saying, you
That's
don't
right.
want to come at me at Madden because I got fucking an all Madden team, but they just happen to be the Niners. No, man.
I don't know how to play that.
Oh, it's so my deal is I get the one that is 3 years past, right?
Uh-huh.
Because I can pick him up for 99 cents at GameStop.
Okay, I got you. I got you. I got you.
So I don't even know what
Yeah.
the fuck, whatever. And
Hey, man,
Black Friday's
if
coming up, so whatever the new one is going to be like $10 any damn way. So
hey, once it went past 2 buttons, man, I was like, man, I'm done. You know what I'm saying? Once you started
yeah,
seeing like these buttons here and the joystick, I was like, I'm done, man. I'm
I,
cool.
I fucking dig it. That's the only way I get my fucking that and like what is it, the NBA 2K. That's how I get my fucking sports, man.
That's what's
Shout out
up.
to the Staples Center. Apparently, it's going to become the
Right?
crypto.com.
Crypto. Wow.
Dot com.
Wow.
You best believe I got on
Crypto.com.
Coinbase, and I got some crypto.com fucking token. You best believe, bro. So I'm just saying. But people that I think should get some crypto.com tokens, you might disagree with me. Most people do. But the first fight, Luana Pinero against
Mm-hmm.
Sam Page Hughes. And this one is
Mm-hmm.
a wild one, right? So
Mm-hmm.
Luana is making her UFC debut against Sam Hughes, which I think, if you have followed the LFA strawweight kind of, you know, history, right? So we
Mm-hmm.
have Sam Hughes fighting, what is it, Vanessa Little Monster Demopoulos, right?
Yes. Yes.
For the inaugural title in which Little Monster wins the title, right? And
Triangle
then in the
choke.
next, right, triangle choke.
Hmm.
And then in the next fight, her first title defense, she basically loses it to somebody who was on this very card, one Lupe Godinez, right?
Hmm. Hmm.
And and then now it has transferred to La Fiera, which crazy enough, she's a member of Black House as well as as Jesus Christ, why am I blanking? You know, uh, uh, Little Monster. Jesus, Little Monster was a part of Black House during that time.
Thermopolis.
Yeah, absolutely. There was a cool picture that they did. It was like La Fiera, then Little Monster, and then Tabitha Ricci. All with their the two with their LFA strawweight titles, and then they were going to usher Tabitha into a title position. That didn't happen because she gets the call to the UFC before an LFA title fight materializes, right? But here's the crazy thing about it: out of all of them, LFA champions and everybody that I mentioned are all now in the UFC. But Sam
Hmm.
Hughes, who actually lost the LFA strawweight title fight, was the
Hmm.
first one to go to the UFC
Yep.
out of
Yep.
all four or five of them.
Yep. 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 She. Sam Hughes has very good skill. Very good skill. She just lacks a little bit more in the grappling department, but her hands are decent. Decent. In this particular fight, her opponent was very good at blitzing and that judo throw. Once you get to headlock, you're going for a ride. And once you get down there, Sam was able to take a full guard every single time, half guard to full guard. She made excellent movement. It was all gravy. Um, Luan, however, was able to score more points, landing significant shots, hard shots. Um, it was a good fight. It was a good fight. It was a good MMA fight. That's why we have so many extremely MMA competition in this particular card, which is fantastic. I like it.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. But shout out to one Luana who wins. Beats Sam Hughes, and it's going to be a weird, kind of position to be in for Sam Hughes. She's 5-4. She's close to 51 loss away from a 50-50 record, right? And I mean, she hasn't won since her, victory at LFA 93 against Danielle Hindley, right?
Hmm.
But she's gone, 0-3. But I mean, mind you, that 0-3 is Tisha Torres, the Tiny Tornado, Loma
Hmm.
Lukbunmi, and Luana Piero. So I
Hmm.
mean, those are some good deals. But I mean, it's just wild that somebody that called up again. If you know the lay of the land and the LFA strawweight, kind of deal, right? She gets pole vaulted into the UFC even before the actual champions do, and she could be the first one in and potentially the first one out.
Hmm. 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 Most definitely. Most definitely. Um, what did you think about this second fight, though? Shailen Nudenbik versus Sean Soriano. What
Yeah,
did you think about that one?
this one was crazy, and I don't want to jump too far ahead, right? With the Cody Durden comments, which we're gonna, go
Oh,
into
right, right, right.
in fight three. But my goodness, man, uh, Shay Elan, I
Yeah.
mean, woo, buddy, and Sean Soriano, man, like that dude, he's a tough customer, a veteran of over 20 fights, professional, right?
Hmm. Hmm.
Uh, you know, beat beat Nod Lot, UFC veteran Nod Lot, one of the baddest motherfuckers around, and he KO'd him in the first round in UAE Warriors, right? Like
Yeah.
he's a bad motherfucker, this one,
Shut
and
your mouth.
yeah, man. But I mean, the gentleman representing China, right? 20-7, 20 and
Hmm.
7. That's literally like he's got as many wins as Sean Soriano has fights, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's crazy, right? So, I feel this is an excellent, kind of gamemanship in terms of MMA prowess, right?
Mm-hmm.
But again, this is a unanimous decision. So Shay Lan did more than enough to ensure the victory. It wasn't even close.
Mm-hmm.
Like there wasn't one round scored for Sean Soriano,
Mm-hmm.
which tells you about
Mm-hmm.
the dominance of this particular
Mm-hmm.
win.
Yeah, yeah, you are absolutely right, man. Because this was your classic striker versus grappler type match.
Yes.
The striker being Sean. Sean went in there, in the first round. He was doing his thing, moving very well, sticking them hands and feet, doing his thing. And then Shay Liang, he got what he needed to get from that first round. He got the distance, he got the timing, So as soon as the second round starts, whoop 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 whoop, he shoots for a takedown, he gets a takedown, and it's a clinic. It was a clinic.
It was a
Hey,
clinic.
he was controlling them for like 4 minutes. 4 minutes and 30 seconds. It was just ridiculous. For
Yeah.
the next 10 minutes to come, it was absolute domination on the grappling scene. So the unanimous decision was quite correct.
Yeah, absolutely. So again, shout out to him, and that was a cool way to kind of get into match number 3, because he
Mm-hmm.
had, oh god, uh, uh, Galen Iori against Cody Durden, and
Mm-hmm.
I mean, of course, unanimous decision for Durden. We're not trying to take anything away from his victory. It's just
Mm-hmm.
the post fight comments. Told Iori that, I mean, basically told Daniel Cormier that his whole only intent is to send Iori back to China, and I don't. This one, and it's weird because I actually saw it on
Oh.
Twitter. I saw it in a lot of other places, before I actually saw the match, because you know, I was elsewhere, right? So I saw
Mm-hmm.
Twitter kind of blow up on this thing, and then I actually saw the clip on Twitter, and
Mm-hmm.
it was just like, for everything that Colby Covington is or isn't, right? And this is the point made in whatever tweet that I saw, right? We all kind of know it's an act. Even if it's true to form to who he is, it's kind of an act. He does
Mm-hmm.
things to kind of get a rise out of you. He's a fucking pro wrestling heel, right? He learned
Mm-hmm.
a
Mm-hmm.
lot of his gift of gab from, Dan Lambert and the rest of the crew's run in Impact Wrestling, where they team
Mm-hmm.
with none other than now former Impact and WWE champion Bobby Lashley, undefeated, fighter in Bellator, right? So with that all
Mm-hmm.
being said, right, like there might be some elements of truth to Colby Covington's character, right? But he just notches it up, just like Stone Cold Steve Austin, just like The Rock. That's them. They just amp that fucking volume, knob up to the umpteenth degree, right? So with that
Mm-hmm.
all being said, Cody Durden, there was how do you say, um, conviction in his voice that he wasn't, and they asked him again in the post fight conference, if he wanted to walk back those statements, and he's like, nah, and he just doubled down on it, and it's just like, yes, he's from Georgia, like this is the same kind of you know ideology held by Hulk Hogan, right? Like when he was selling his son who was in jail and feeling down about himself, right? Um, come on, once we get out of jail, we'll be living like N-words. And in reference to like how rappers live and whatever. And that was his way of cheering his son up after literally turning a Marine into a vegetable in a car crash that he was responsible for. Never forget, right? Um, so I don't know, and Hogan's response was like, "Well, it was Florida. Everybody was doing it, right?
Mm-hmm.
You're a 50 some odd year old man, dude, like who's traveled the world. Like, don't you know better?" And I don't believe Cody Durden, like in whatever circle that Cody Durden, travels around. This is probably totally acceptable behavior and
Mm-hmm.
verbiage, So
Mm-hmm.
that just, I don't know,
I
man.
have a question. I have a
Good.
question. What if he would have said, "I am seeking to send you back to China without a W"? Would it carry the same heat that it's carrying right now?
I think I don't know, and I could be completely reading it wrong, but
Mm-hmm.
it's I think especially after you know obviously we're in COVID times, right?
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of people, and I think it's kind of been proven, no matter which ideology that you kind of you know gravitate to, right? Everything points to it coming from China, right? Whether
Mm-hmm.
it be bats, whether it be a lab leak, whether it be whatever the fuck, China, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, and then we've had our former president, say, China virus or Kung flu, which
Mm-hmm.
are very
Mm-hmm.
racially
Mm-hmm.
charged, statements to make.
Mm-hmm.
Corona
Mm-hmm.
Chan is something that I've been hearing as well, and it's just like,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, I'm not great with pronouns or anything like that, but this one, no, and it's not just most people will cite, oh well, it's cancel culture, like
Mm-hmm.
whatever. Nah, being in the Bay Area, that one of I went to Chinese Lunar New Year. I had Vietnamese friends, right, and
Mm-hmm.
Laotian friends. My wife is part Filipino, right, and it just always struck me as off, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's just
Mm-hmm.
like the N word, at least for me.
Mm-hmm.
It just struck me as off, and that statement now, right? Because of things like cancel culture and what have you, and the like almost the overcorrection of society as a
Mm-hmm.
whole, and in a way to try to get acceptance, whatever that means, right? It really doesn't sit well. It didn't sit well in the 80s. It didn't sit well in the
Mm-hmm.
90s. It
Mm-hmm.
didn't sit well in the 2000s. And you hear stories, nowadays of like business owners, Andrew Yang, who ran
Mm-hmm.
for
Mm-hmm.
president, and that would you would hear that from him, like from pundits of a particular, political mindset. And what would happen, right? When he went to their side, now they stopped doing all that. They stopped saying all that. So
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
it's just weird. It just doesn't sit well with me personally. And you can kind of get at me for being sensitive, or it's fine. It's fine. I just
You are entitled to feel any way you want to feel. That's
right.
what's so great about this country. You know what I mean? A majority of people feel a certain way about this incident. It is what it is. You know what I mean? Uh, Cody Durden did say that I already didn't shake his hand. He showed disrespect to him. You know what I mean? He he disrespected his Shaolin temple.
Yeah, yeah.
So he felt a certain way about it, and that was his expression of how he felt. Might not be the most appropriate way,
Right.
you know, but you know, it was a good fight though. Both of them went at it. They went
Yeah,
at it. I
and
mean,
that's
I don't understand the continued feud after the match. Perhaps this is a good way to set up a second match. You know,
yeah,
because people
but
will remember this occasion. It could
no,
be a tactic.
absolutely. But again, they're rematches at their like current ranking, right? I don't think it bodes much, right? I mean, you would, if they're in a top 10 fight or a title eliminator fight, that would be, instances where you would kind of work that out. But
Hmm.
at this kind of state, they're not even in the top 20, both of them, right? I
Hmm.
believe this
Hmm.
was Cody Durden's, was it his debut? Or
Um,
I could be, I could be
uh,
wrong.
Durden.
No, he
This
lost
is
to
his.
Jimmy
This
Flake.
was his third
Yes,
fight. That was
yes,
his
he
third fight in the
yeah,
UFC.
so draw loss. So this is his first UFC win, So I mean that if that's a statement that he's going to make, and that's the crazy thing about it, the polarization of our society being kind of free and what have you. So he might piss off a one side of ideologies, but be totally heralded in another side, so
Yeah.
he might not
Yeah.
lose anything one way or another. So that's it. And here's the thing: much like Colby Covington, right?
Hmm.
There's a bunch of 125ers that want to whoop, male and female, that want to whoop his ass. So there you go. You know, so mission accomplished if that's what you wanted, bro. So
Hey, speaking of mission accomplished, Lupita Godinez versus Loma Lookboonmee was quite a mission. Lookboonmee
yeah,
is this heroed Muay Thai fighter in the UFC, completely Muay Thai in her offense, and she'll go for that takedown defense if she has to, so she can keep it where she enjoys. But Lupita was the perfect antagonist for her. Lupita had kickboxing slash wrestling. Lupita was the representation of what MMA should be, as she looked fantastic, taking apart her opponent Loma. Her boxing was the key to victory in this one. Yeah, she kicked a few, but it wasn't really the main thing, because one thing that I noticed in this particular matchup was Loma did not practice very good head movement. She would
right.
throw a leg kick and stand there in the line of fire, and she would catch 2 to 3 punches sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
And this was continuous the entire match. And then Lupita was like,
Yes.
you know what, man? Let's go to the ground. Let's see what's happening down there. What you gonna do when I take you to the ground? So she took her to the ground. Uh, trying all sorts of tech. I mean, she was being coached and she was executing in live time. It was amazing to
Right.
watch the communication between her and the coaches. The fact that she was executing those exact directions while she was fighting was phenomenal. The growth of the sport is amazing. I mean, you just got to be complete, man. If you want to compete at the highest level, you got to be a complete fighter.
Yes, and again, Lupita Godinez is a former the second ever LFA strawweight champion, right?
Mm-hmm.
And nothing against Sam Hughes, who contended for the title at the first round. Nothing against the first champion Vanessa Little Monster Demopoulos. Nothing against Tabitha Ricci, who could have gotten
Mm-hmm.
an LFA title shot, or La Fiera, who is I think she's going to be on a Dana White Contender Series if she hasn't already done so. I believe she already fought for Dana White Contender Series. But Lupita Godinez and Tabitha Ricci are kind of the standouts of that LFA strawweight division, which shows don't miss an LFA fight. Like,
Mm-hmm.
if nothing else, right? If you
Mm-hmm.
are kind of pissed off that you have to pay $10 for UFC Fight Pass, where if you're of a certain age or whatever, a couple of years back they were like, hey, we'll show you all the damn pay-per-views 30 days after they air,
Mm-hmm.
live and free, if you pay for the sucking service and everything like that. Now,
Mm-hmm.
like, seriously, it's where I go to watch my friends fight, because there's been a lot of people who have come into the UFC via LFA. So that in itself is worth the price of admission. So I'm in. And one of the reasons is because we get to see the story of Lupita Godinez, and
Mm-hmm.
all of the other fine athletes that I mentioned, male and female. So yeah, man, shout out to Lupi, who, I mean, in what is it, 4 fights? 4 fights in 3 months, or
Mm-hmm.
within the
Hey,
last
hey,
year, something
hey,
like that.
and she's talking about, hey, hit me up in 2 weeks. I'll
Yeah,
be down if you can hit me up for,
yeah.
I don't believe there's gonna be a UFC next week, but the
No,
following week
yeah, the
is
following week.
what's going on. Yeah, she's like,
Which,
hit me up for that too. I'm ready to go. I was like, wow.
right? Well, I mean, when you think about it, right after her LFA title win, she sat out for a year, right, where the UFC didn't touch her, and it could be, management things and signing with the right manager might have gotten him. If you're of that ideology, you could
Mm-hmm.
be right, you know. And shout out to her managers; they've been nothing but nice to me, So over the years, so I'm not mad at it. But like, I remember having that conversation because she was just like, "What is it going to take?" I dominated my last fight. What's it going to take? And I was like, you signing with one manager and you getting a short notice site. And she happened to do that. I'm not saying I had anything a part of it, because I probably was one of the many people to tell her that. And when she does, she's gone on the biggest run of her career. So shout out to Lupita, shout out to Iridium. And that's that. But she's kind of making her way. Who's at 115? Who's the champ at 115?
Namajunas.
Yes, Thug
Namajunas.
Rose. Come on, dude.
Yeah.
I got fucking goosebumps, yo. You telling me that's not a fucking if Lupita keeps on doing the way she is, and let's say she fights in 2 weeks and shit like that, you swear to God that it's not a title like a fucking main event shit like fight that everybody's gonna be like jazzed for? God, I love it.
It's Murderer's Row all the way to Rose.
Yeah, no, it is. I'm so excited.
You still got Zhang Weili in the way. You still got Zhang Weili. You got Joanna Jędrzejczyk.
Yeah,
I mean, come on, man. Too many fights to get to there, but it's gonna be an amazing trip.
Amazing.
It's gonna be an amazing trip for her.
And it also, one fight could fall out. Somebody, unfortunately, get COVID or miss weight or get an injury or whatever, and there you are. Dreams can happen. Yeah, I mean, fuck. Look at Joe Soto and T.J. Dillashaw, right, in the main event. Went fucking 25 minutes with the champion, and he was supposed to be on the undercard, the first fight of the night, so dreams do come true. And again, nothing, it's not like I'm trying to, put vexes on people to get injured or whatever. Nobody wants that. I actually make an offering to the fight gods to make sure that every fight that is announced everywhere, don't care what league, don't care whatever, that it all goes according to plan.
The bottom line is, if you are an MMA fighter and you're serious about it, you should always be ready to go. The call might come at any time. Be ready. Be ready to go. You know what I mean? If this is what you want to do, you got to be ready. When that call comes, man, you might be going in there against Max Holloway.
Yeah.
Be ready.
Yeah.
Be ready. You know what I'm saying? You only get one shot, like Eminem said, right?
Yep, absolutely. There you go. So fucking lose yourself, which is exactly what Rafa Garcia does. They were talking about the former Combate Americas, now global champion, who was there for so long, 13-2, facing Israel's Natan Levy, it was his UFC debut. He was a perfect 6. He was a perfect 6-0 going into this. Hoffa takes that win from him, that win streak away from him, pushing him to 6-1. But this was all domination of Rafa Garcia.
Yeah, Rafa Garcia was the man in this particular matchup. Yep. His opponent was a karate fighter. Yes, I remember him from back when we were amateurs.
Oh, did he?
He fought at Tough. He fought at Tough Enough in Vegas. He fought there, but I remember he was just Jewish kid, and every a comment back here and there. You know what I'm saying? Nothing too serious. Like I don't really know him, but a comment here, a comment there. Was all it was. But watching him fight in the UFC, I'm noticing that he is 100% karate guy.
Yeah,
especially going against Rafa Garcia in the manner that he went. Rafa Garcia was his boxing was far superior, and this is how he was able to control the interaction between the two of them. Rafa Garcia, he brought excellent takedown defense, excellent grappling. Nathan Levy, that is his go-to after the karate doesn't work, is the grappling. He'll go for the submission. That's what he does. Rafa Garcia was ready for that. He defended very well and kept the fight where he's most comfortable, which was fighting. He used his hands very, very well, and he won the match by unanimous decision. He won at least 2 solid rounds, so that's what it was.
Yeah, no, 100%. And you mentioned that Pac the Mac, Pac the Mac, Tough Enough card. Man, if you look back at this fucking card back in 2017, so just 4 short years ago, right? We have Kiara Ramos, who's now in the UFC, right? We've got, let's see. Ryder Newman, who was just on the Ultimate Fighter, has made his UFC debut, right? Then we got Natan Levy against gentleman Jeff Malor out of Subfighter MMA, right? Where Natan Levy actually catches Jeff with a guillotine choke, being not bad for a karate guy, right? And then you have both former California state champions, Josh and John Wang Kim, basically winning their respective 135 and 145 Tough Enough titles, in addition to being those divisions California state champions, right? Then you have Serena Southpaw, Invicta veteran, and none other than Vanessa Lomonster Demopoulos against Cheyenne Bays for the Tough Enough 115 title. Holy shit, man. That's just fun. That's a nice little walk down memory lane. But yeah, big shout out to Rafa Garcia. Again, he's one of those guys who, once they get out of their Combate Global, fucking contract, man, the sky's the limit. And there's a couple other guys and girls that I'm like, nothing against Combate, but I mean, if you can get out of that contract, fuck it.
And Rafa was undefeated for Combate the entire time.
Yep.
You know what I mean? He was doing his thing. He was doing his thing.
Yeah, led him to the championship, man. So shout out to Rafa Garcia. I'm excited because we do, in that fight with Jeff Malor, right? He does have submissions in his arsenal. So I hope he continues to improve on that, and kind of sharpen the skills that karate has given him. But yeah, we shall see. But holy fuck, man. Pat Sabatini, which is Tucker Lutz. Both men have probably less brain cells. This one is fucking wild, bro. What did you think?
It started off on the feet, like most fights. And Pat Sabatini was like, let me spice in some grappling so I can guarantee I win these matches at the tail end of every round. And that's what he did. He had very good snapping kicks, which I love. Tucker Lutz was the better striker, which is why he had to initiate Plan B, introduce that takedown, you know what I mean, wrap him up and grapple the hell out of him. And that was what happened. Pat Sabatini, I believe I picked Tucker Lutz to win this one. I can't remember. I'm not sure what I said, but it was either way. It was a very, very good matchup. Another worthy fight of exploration for young fighters.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. If you want to see what it takes to win in the UFC or what it takes to win an MMA match, you got to be able to switch from A to B to C to D if possible or if necessary to checkmate. So sometimes you don't make it to checkmate, but you can stay ahead enough to win the match.
Yeah, absolutely. Again, Pat Sabatini just figuring a way to win, which I think a lot can be attributed to him and his team being able to adjust, right, and go grappling where Tucker Lutz was, the superior striker. So, because there's a lot of times where, we've seen it even in championship title fights, right, where the coach and the fighter will just same fucking thing, no matter how, even if the damn plan isn't working, they're like, we got to stay true to the fucking plan. You got to stay true to the fucking plan. So, to me, big ups to Pat Sabatini and his coaches for being able to adjust when needed to secure the unanimous decision victory.
That's right. You're absolutely right about that.
Yeah.
But in the next matchup, in the 135-pound division, the match that I was anticipating, the return of Adrian Yanez versus JV Grant. This fight was supposed to happen some time back. These two gentlemen have been talking back and forth to each other.
Yep.
And the fight
was heated.
never really materialized until now. And it was indeed fight of the night.
Mm-hmm.
It was worthy of being labeled or called fight of the night because
Yeah.
both gentlemen fought at a very high pace, high level. Adrian Yanez is your textbook technical fella. Uh, his boxing is supreme. He
Yeah.
throws kicks. He throws kicks, but his striking ratio is 70% hands, 30% kicks. Kicks only to open up the hands, and usually it's hands to open up the kicks, but
Yeah.
he does it the other way. He uses his kicks to open up his hands,
Yeah.
and he's technical in this manner. Davey, on the other hand, is the erratic, elusive, capoeirista looking type individual. He's always never stationary. You know, he's not your prototypical boxer type guy. He is the maybe someone from the dojo, you know what I mean? Like a karate guy that learned how to throw his hands really well. He moves like that, but he doesn't kick like that.
Yeah.
He kicks, but he just fights the way he fights.
Yeah, it
You
does.
can't really label the way he fights as like boxing or like this or like that.
No.
It's unique to him. It's erratic,
Yeah.
and
Yeah, it
it
is.
works for him
In
because
the
if
wor-
you
in the
saw,
best in the best way
yeah,
possible.
yeah, if you saw at the end of this match, Adrian Yanez's earlobes were quite filled with blood,
Blood?
and
Yeah.
that's from the hook, the
Yeah.
multiple hooks that came by. Even though he was rolling with it, it was catching his ear. That's how close
Yeah.
these matches. I mean, these shots were. He kept rubbing his ear, and then he ruptured it, and it swelled
Yeah.
up to the size of a small golf ball.
Yes. Which I mean, it's funny that you say that. Shout out to Amy Kaplan, somebody who's photographed your fights video back at the UFMMA days,
Yeah,
right? She showed on
yeah.
her Instagram and social medias of Adrian Yanez getting a little bit of a treatment to get the cauliflower down. You know, they
hmm
had like magnets or whatever the fuck. You know,
hmm
it looked like it looked like a damn plastic wishbones with two
hmm
magnets at the end of
hmm
it to kind of keep the swelling down, so
hmm
it's
hmm
crazy. And I mean, Jesus Christ, man. Yeah, of course, Davy Gratt, was hooking the shit out of Yanez, but
hmm
man, Yanez fucking popped Davy Gratt's fucking all his shit,
Yeah,
man.
yeah,
Like in the
yeah,
opening fucking round, man.
yeah,
Like
yeah.
Davy Gratt, there was a moment I think at the 3 minute mark where it was
hmm
just like everything that Davy Grant tried to you know slip and fucking whatever. Unfortunately, Yanez caught him. Where he slipped. That's exactly where his right or his left were
hmm
going. So,
hmm hmm
but also this is a bit of controversy because a lot of people, watching, they actually gave the fight to Grant. So
hmm
this was yes,
Yeah.
it was a $50,000, fight of the night for each gentleman. And
hmm
here's the other thing, right? You talked about the heat going into this, right? That it was supposed to be scheduled before and whatever, right? So again, fighters, if you want more money, if you're advocating for more money, right? And I'm not saying you have to shit talk or anything like that, but much like pro wrestling, and it permeates into all other forms of combat sport or all forms of sport, right? If you give a little bit of extra sizzle, right, it adds to the draw, the anticipation of whatever the fuck you're doing, right? So if you want
hmm
those $50,000 bonuses, I'm not saying that it wasn't a great fight, right? It was a great fight, and
hmm
it was the stake, and you put a little bit of sizzle to the animosity that they had going into it. You get
hmm
an extra 50 G's for each of you.
hmm 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 hmm
There you
hmm
go.
hmm hmm Indeed, man. What a way to open up this main event, man.
Yeah,
It was a beautiful match. It was a beautiful match. I really don't feel that Adrian Yanez was able to slip into free flow. This was
no,
all heart. This
yeah,
particular match was all heart because of Davy Grant's erratic movement and quite accomplished in his own right.
yeah,
He was quite accomplished. As you can see, it was a split decision. We will
yeah,
see a part two of this particular matchup. A fight like this doesn't just go by because it was highly competitive on both sides. Split decision. When these guys get a little bit hotter, if they both get hot
yeah.
later on, we'll see this again.
I agree. I mean, that's assuming that their ears and their fucking noses hold up because shit me, good God, um, a lot was taken out of them, And okay, about what's up, sisters? Hey guys, I'm here. What is up?
What up?
And that's right, 100%,
Yeah,
100%. We agree with you
yeah.
100%. Always, always. Now we have, like you said, we're starting off in the main card, right? So we go from that to Ronnie Yaya. Ronnie
Mhm.
Yaya, I mean, a veteran of 38 fights, right? We're talking WEC, and he comes into the UFC when like the WEC, I mean, shit, the UFC was on
Mhm.
Fuel. Like that's UFC on Fuel 8. UFC on Fox 4. The undercard of Rashad Evans and Tito Ortiz 2 on UFC 133. On the he lost to Takeya Mutsugaki on the undercard of Jose Aldo versus Uriah Faber that sends Aldo into the next stratosphere, that basically nets him the WEC bantamweight title, or featherweight title, I'm sorry, featherweight title. It was the featherweight title, and then he goes into, was it the featherweight? No, it was the bantamweight. It was fucking bantamweight. What the fuck am I smoking? I don't know. Sorry. Yeah, it was the bantamweight, the 135 title, right? But I mean, he's been in there with like the likes of Eddie Wineland, Mark
Mhm.
Hominick,
Mhm.
shit, man, like, and still can like a lot of these guys, Russell Doan, Joe Soda, Michinori Tanaka,
Norifumi Yamamoto.
yes, fucking Kid Yamamoto,
Yeah,
God,
the
R.I.P.
kid. The
Kid
kid.
fucking Yamamoto, man. That it's still fucking it brings a tear to my eye that guy is no longer with us, man. It's just a phenomenal person. He beats fucking Mike Brown. Yeah, that Mike Brown from American Top Team, Mike Brown, former WEC champion. Like
Mhm.
this guy's been there with the best of the best. And again, in the instance of Mike Brown has got retired from fighting and is coaching. And guess what?
Mhm.
Ronnie Yaya is still here. Chad
Still
Mendes has
here.
retired from MMA, going to be a
Mhm.
bare knuckle. He's still here. Joe Soto,
Mhm.
he's out of here. Like he's
Mhm.
outlasted a lot of his contemporaries, and to show his
Mhm.
greatness, he's actually the fucking he puts a wrench in the plan of any upstart who thinks that they're going to come into the UFC, nice and scoff free. Ronnie Yaya is
Mhm.
putting that world class grappling to
Mhm.
use and making
Mhm.
sure that he still can collect checks all these years later after his MMA debut
Mhm.
was in 2002.
Mhm.
Jesus Christ. Damn near 20-year career.
Yeah,
Jesus Christ, Ronnie Yaya.
that's that's when I
Uh,
got out of college.
fuck, I was a junior in high school. Jesus Christ, and he's still fighting, and still not just fighting. He's on a 2-fight win streak over guys that are, I mean, technically like half his age, right?
Yeah, yeah,
Man, old school is
yeah.
cool, bro. Like that's, obviously the judge Ray Rodriguez is 33, right? And then the gent that he fought last night was the Korean gents.
He was
Uh,
getting pieced up too.
yeah, he was, Yaya was fucking him up, man. Yeah,
Nah,
like,
Yaya was getting his ass
oh,
whooped,
he was
but then
getting
he
his ass
closed
kicked.
the
Yeah, yes,
distance.
he was. Yes, he was.
Then he'll
But
he'll close the distance and then put it on him.
yeah, absolutely. But still, this is a former Road FC champion over in Asia. Mr.
Yeah,
Perfect. And, even him.
he
Yeah,
looked good.
Tatura.
He looked good.
Yeah, absolutely. So, um, God, I'm putting all the flowers on Ronnie Yaya, man. Like he deserves
Straight up,
every bit
he earned it.
of, yeah, man. So shit, me. Fuck yes, right? So I guess that would be any more on that.
Nah, nah, nah. But that fight number 9 was pretty amazing, man.
Yeah,
Talia Santos versus Joanne Woods. Wait,
shit.
she used to be Calderwood, right?
So about that, So I
Yeah.
was just like, what the fuck? Does she just identify as Wood? She dropped the Calder and just became Wood? What the fuck is going on there? Because like the first time I saw it, I was just like, what? And here's the deal, right? Oh, wait, before we get to that, Randy Yaya wants to fucking fight Sugar Sean O'Malley. Woo,
Why not?
buddy.
He wants to submit
Woo!
him.
Why the fuck not? Give me that, Dana McMaynard.
First round. He'll sub
Give
him in
me,
the first round.
please give me that. Please. That's it. That's it, man. You could
Dude,
headline a fucking fight night with that one. Give me that,
yeah.
please.
I don't think
Please.
O'Malley will take that fight.
Why not? Fuck it, you know? And yes, Takei Passos, thank you. And no, 100%. So, yeah, I want that fucking fight. I want that fucking fight so bad. Jesus Christ. So, let's play the game of shut up, Sugar Sean. But going back to Joanne Wood, right? So, what happened since her last outing in the octagon as Joanne Calderwood? She actually wed the head coach of her gym, which is obviously Syndicate MMA. You know, that Misha Tate trains out of there. Serena Southbar trains out of there. Roxanne Modafferi trains out of there, right? So she married John Wood to become Joanne Wood versus her maiden name of Calderwood. So that's exactly what happened. And that happened, literally after she lost to Lauren Murphy. Because she was still Joanne Calderwood then.
Yeah. It was a very competitive match. Calderwood was going in there with some excellent kickboxing. Talia, however, had the speed advantage and very good power in her hands, and she stunned Joanne a few times.
Yeah.
Closed in the distance, took that back, and took the neck. It was under the chin, and she got the submission. She clipped her.
Yeah. Now, and again, great. For somebody who is traditionally a striker to get a submission win over a tough and tenured veteran like Joanne Wood, at something. Now with Joanne Wood, I don't know. This is a weird one, right? Because like she gets going and then something happens, right? She's a veteran of Cage Warriors, right? Where and Invicta, because literally going into the Ultimate Fighter house, right? This is Ultimate Fighter season 20, right? She was undefeated, and she won her first fight as the exhibition fight against Emily Kagan, right? She wins a majority decision. That was a 2-round fight, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then she loses to Rose Namajunas, right? Now strawweight champion, 2-time strawweight champion. But that kind of puts her in a weird one, right? Rose Namajunas, 2 fucking, title wins she gets, right? And then she gets a win after she's eliminated from the Ultimate Fighter house. On the finale, she faces Sohee Ham, right? An amazing fight. Sohee Ham is fucking killing it over there in one championship, as well she should, right? But then loses to Myra Moroz, then wins over Courtney Casey and Valerie Letourneau, but then lost to Jessica Andrade, former champion, and Cynthia Calvillo. Then she faces Kalinda Vieira, right? Faria, I'm sorry, and Ariane Lipsky, but then loses to the blonde fighter Caitlin Chikugian, and Andrea, but wins over Andrea KGB Lee. Lost to Jennifer Maya, win over Jessica I, losses to Lauren Murphy, and now Talia Santos. So it's just like start and stop, and I don't know what's going on. Obviously want the best for her, but like I'm starting to lose the probability of the bad mofo Joe ever contending for a title.
I remember when she was supposed to fight Valentina Shevchenko, but Shevchenko had to pull out because she got injured.
Yep.
And then she took the fight with Jennifer Maya instead of Wade. You think she regrets that?
Yeah. She doesn't. She can't. She can't. Not at all. She shouldn't regret that. that was a merciful, you know, it was just merciful because obviously we've seen what Valentino's gone on to do. It's just crazy. And Takeo Powell says in 2002, when Ronnie Yaya starts his career, she was a baby or a teenager, roughly. So, no, as was I. As was I. So there's that. But, I mean, it's just kind of wild because, Joanne now would, but, the former Joanne Calder would. One bat, like, her fights were always exciting. Also, her interviews were always exciting. She was somebody that like the media loved. In many instances, an uncrowned champion. So it's just wild, And she gets finished off by a striker via a guillotine, and the only finish of this entire fight card. So it's just wild. I just feel bad. Feel bad. So we go on to the next fight. We have Sean Brady. Well, actually, I'm sorry. We are at the co-main events of the evening. We have Sean Brady versus Michael Chiesa. And this was a battle of the Pacific Northwest. A lot of people in that region of the United States were just heralding this one because, actually, I'm sorry, Sean Brady... I'm sorry. I fucking misspoke because we had Misha Tate and Michael Chiesa out of Sick Jitsu in Washington State. They basically were putting it on, the co-main event and main event, right? But obviously, Sean Brady, undefeated from Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, hailing from the Renzo Gracie Academy in Philadelphia. But, man, this is he extends his fucking win streak to a perfect 15-0. Just dominated the veteran of Chiesa. Now, I gotta say though, the coming out of this, right? The meme that we saw all across the social media realm was when Chiesa went nose to nose with Bruce Buffer, right? Was Buffer is announcing his name, and they're right up in each other. Man, it was it was awesome, but also we live in the times of COVID, so I was just like,
I'm sure they both passed the COVID test.
yeah. But also, Bruce Buffer, if you notice, he put on his damn mask right after he announced every time. So I don't know what the fuck.
Yeah, man. Yeah, this match was pretty. I loved it for one reason. I love the fact that Brady was more than willing to face Chiesa.
Yeah.
Even though Chiesa is a bigger man, he was willing to face him where he was best. And he beat him there. He beat him at the grappling. Chiesa, for some reason, wanted to stand. You know what I mean? But Brady was like, you already got lucky earlier in the matchup. You kind of injured my nose. Now I'm bleeding from my face. He was like, you know what? We're gonna do this elsewhere. Chiesa had the reach advantage, so his jabs are working. So he took him to the ground. He kept him there. He controlled him. He did that for 15 minutes. And he was able to get the W.
Yeah. And anybody that wants to, like, oh, well, Sean Brady hasn't fought, top caliber fighters. No, I'm sorry, folks. You will be mistaken because Michael Chiesa is the third big name that Brady has figured out, right? And we were talking about Gilbert Urbina, right? Who was just on the Ultimate Fighter, right? That's a big name. I mean, it was a decent name if you follow the last season of the Ultimate Fighter. But fuck, Court McGee, who's never looked better going into retirement. Looked amazing, right? Especially in 2019, and unanimous decision over Court McGee, right? And then he also fucking put out our dude, the Beast, Christian Aguilera, via guillotine choke last year. So shit me, man. Like Sean Brady.
Sean Brady, man, he's a special dude.
He is, man.
Special dude.
He can do it like punching, striking. Like he's just
Yeah,
I mean,
and
he's complete.
he was talking about he was heavy into the Japanese culture. So
Yeah.
a lot of his tattoos are Japanese themed tattoos. And another thing that stood out to me at the post fight interview was he said something to the effect of, "I'm not gonna call anyone out." DC tried to like
Get it out
snake
of
tell
him.
him,
Yeah.
yeah. But he was like, "I'm not gonna call anyone out because I am not that guy." Um, this is one way to do things. I mean, most definitely, this is one way to do things. But if you choose the honor route, understand that when they don't pay you what you're worth later on, when they don't pay you what you're worth, please don't complain because you are setting the foundation of how the company is going to look at you. You know what I'm saying? They're going to look at him as, okay, he'll be okay with whatever we give him because he's not being assertive. He's
Okay.
not saying, hey, this is the path I'm willing to go. You know what I mean? He's not doing that because he's an honorable guy, which is admirable. But are you in this for honor or are you in this to feed your family? This is the question we must ask ourselves as fighters. Am I in this to feed my family or am I in this for me only, for
Sure.
my honor? For people to say, oh man, he was such and such. Or am I going to look out for my people? This is the ultimate drive for people who fight. You're either trying to do it for yourself, which is your own self honor, whatever you want to call it,
Right.
or you're trying to feed the family. You know what I mean? And from what he said, it seems to me he's choosing the honor thing, which is there's nothing wrong with it. Nothing's wrong with it. Go ahead and be a martial artist. That's fine. Just don't come. I don't want to hear you complain 5, 6 years from now. I don't want to hear you complaining, man. You know what I mean? When you haven't gotten that title shot and you're like 10 fight in a row and you haven't gotten that title fight and you are so deserving of the title fight. We all can see because you are
Right.
an honorable guy, right? You're very honorable, right? Don't cry to anyone in 4 to 5 years when you don't get that title shot that you have worked so hard and now you deserve, right? We all see you deserve it, Leon Edwards. We all see it, but you're not going to get it. Why? Because you chose the honor route. You're getting your honor. Those who choose the paper route, you know what I mean? They tend to get looked at more because now you're speaking the language of the company.
Right.
You know what I mean? You're
Yeah.
speaking the language of the company, right? Why not make money while you're getting your face bashed in? Why get your face bashed in for free? Why
Yeah.
not? Why not dictate the terms of your own fighting future by
Right.
saying,
Sure.
I want such and such next? Urani Yaya, after 20 plus years, now he's saying, I want him. I want that guy. I want, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Before he didn't do that, he used to leave it up to his manager. That
Right.
was the theme back then. Yeah, I haven't
Yes.
talked to my manager. I talked to my manager. Oh yeah. Now look at the youngsters. The youngsters like, I want him. I want him.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? This is the logical thing. The game has shifted,
Right.
and you must shift with it or be crushed.
Now, what I will say to that, right? I mean, if you look at the context of Cody Durden and what he said, right? And
Hmm.
there are people that absolutely despise him, but there are people that are going to be hard in the paint. There are going to be people that, as many fans as he lost, for every, let's say, 3 fans that, or 5 to 10 fans that Cody Durden, lost because of his statement, his double down statement last night. There's still going to be one, right? And when you think about the reach of a UFC and ESPN, I know that there are particular websites that are politically driven one way, right? Like conservative based. That you know in that community, Cody Durden is a fucking hero, right? So to maybe the folks that want to be quiet martial artists, uh, Sean Brady is their guy, right? It is
Hmm.
a
Hmm.
person that makes them want to start doing martial arts. That they
Hmm.
might hate
Hmm.
everything about Conor McGregor or John
Mm-hmm.
Jones and whatever, and they want
Mm-hmm.
to be true to their art and everything like that. Now, with that
Mm-hmm.
all being said, I'm not at all
Mm-hmm.
saying that's going to be transfer into financial, you know, riches for you and your family, much like Voodoo was saying, you know. But maybe there's an instance where Sean Brady can get himself into a title shot, title contention. He is riding a undefeated streak thus far, right? With some pretty decent enough fucking names, household names to some, So if he can do this and parlay this, maybe he does like Jimmy Flick and doesn't even do fucking MMA at all, in a few years, and just goes like,
Mm-hmm.
shit, I'm gonna start a business, and people will do that, and give him money and seed to start his business because he was that humble guy, right? Now,
Mm-hmm.
is everybody
Mm-hmm.
going to know Sean Brady's name after this? I don't know. The future's still unwritten, just like Natasha Bedingfield said in that one song. So
Mm-hmm.
there's that, but
Mm-hmm.
it's polarizing. Either way, there's an audience for whatever the fuck you do. So,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Hey man, hey, the way I see it, the UFC gave him an alley oop in the Michael Chiesa, an established name,
Yeah,
and he chose to lay it up instead of dunk that shit.
dunking it,
But
100%. I agree with you.
he didn't dunk it. He laid it
No,
up. You know what I
yeah,
mean? It is what it is. One is more exciting than the other.
mm-hmm.
It's a fact.
Yep,
You know what I mean?
yep,
So it is what it is.
yep. But speaking of what it is the main events of the evening. We have uh none other than Ketlin Vieira against former UFC and Strikeforce bantamweight champion, arguably one of the greatest women in combat sports of all time, Misha Cupcake Tate. And Misha Tate going into this, right? Especially after her last win, her comeback win over Marion Renault,
Mm-hmm.
was like, I want fucking Amanda. I want a Nunes. I want to, avenge that fight where I lost at UFC 200, where she fucking chokes me the fuck out and everything like that. And this is to me, obviously great performance by Vieira. I'm not taking anything away from Vieira, but I'm glad this happened. I'm glad that the last thing that people, as they switch off the telecast, right, was Misha Tate fucking holding her eye because she would have fucking you know bled out on fucking TV and shit like that. And I mean, I don't get it twisted. I am a Misha Tate fan. I'm a like, have been since her days in Strike Force. That was the first time I saw her. The stars of the fucking women's bantamweight and featherweight division. The first big stars of women's MMA. I feel were Ronda, Cyborg, Misha, and Gina Carano, right? So, and of course, there's Marloes Conan, who was the
Mm-hmm.
Strike Force champ before, but like nobody fucking lit women's MMA up. I mean, we were headlining fights on fucking Showtime, women's fights, on
Mm-hmm.
those four ladies, so we all give him their just due. But with that all being said, if Misha Tate had illusions of grandeur, thinking that she would be ready. You know, kudos to you for beating Marion Renault in her retirement fight. Nothing against it, but this kind of, yeah, and I believe in believing in yourself that you're capable of anything, right? But fuck, Amanda Nunes, we haven't seen her in forever. But the last time we saw her, she was committing a massacre, a
Toe
slaughter,
tagging.
just crazy. Like, so I hope this is a teaching lesson to Misha Tate on where she stands in the pack. If you want one run, that's cool. Like one last run, right? We have fucking Bobby Green here. We've got a Ronnie Yaya, right? We've got a lot of people here for one last run, right? But to be like, I deserve a title shot, and I deserve a title shot against somebody who, even at your best, finished you, right? This is before You go over before you retire, before you go to ONE FC in Asia, move your entire life, so you could score a front office position. This is before your husband. This is before the 2 kids, right? And then come back and get a win over Merlin Renault and just like, I deserve a title shot. This is the complete and polar opposite of what you were saying about Sean Brady in the last fight, right? He, Misha Tate was slam dunking it in interviews, right? In terms of her ascension, what she felt was her ascension into a title contention deal. I hope she knows.
She was doing everything she had to.
Yeah.
She was speaking out loud and directing the trajectory of her career. She's doing a great job on the mic. Now she had to go in there and beat the best, and she ran into a brick wall.
Yeah.
And Caitlin Vieira was not having it. Caitlin Vieira was going to be no one's sacrificial lamb, no one's stepping stone to a title shot. It wasn't going to happen. Even though I love you so much, Misha Tate, you are my idol. I look up to you, blah, 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 blah. In the end, it's a bunch of blah, 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 blah. Because when we get in that cage and that door shuts, you're going to get these hands, man. You're going to get these hands, and I'm going to do my best to pop your left eyeball right out of the socket. And that she did. Those jabs were plentiful. Those crosses were plentiful. That 6'3" was plentiful. That uppercut hook. It was a boxing clinic. Hand speed was the key to victory in this fight. Hand speed. Misha Tate is tough, durable, the biggest heart you ever seen in your life. Very good grappling, but her hand speed has yet to change. She needs to go. See, her movement is fantastic. Now she needs to do something about that hand speed. She needs to go and work with a strictly boxer. Go to a gym where it's not, we do boxing, we do this, we do, no, not a mixed martial arts gym. No, don't work with the guy at your gym. He's not the one. The change of atmosphere has to be there. She has to go separate to a boxing spot, just so she can focus on these only, right? Just throwing the 1s and 2s at a higher rate of speed. This is what's missing in her game. She's a perfect fighter, but her hand speed is too slow. She cannot keep up with the top 3. She can't. She would never ever make it. That's why she got beat down the first time by Amanda. It's the hand speed. Amanda's only attribute is the hand speed. Yeah, she can do all these other things, but it's the hand speed. Remember, her hands moving so fast with dynamite in them. Fast-moving dynamite. That's what you'll have in Amanda Nunes. Caitlin Vieira is just as fast, but without the dynamite that Amanda has.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? This is why Amanda's champion, the hand speed. The footwork and the hand speed. Her boxing is superior to anyone in women's boxing right now.
Yeah.
She stepped toe-to-toe with Cyborg, and her hand speed, once again, was the key to victory. Cyborg can take a hit. Cyborg can give a hit, but the hand speed was the difference. While Cyborg was still looping, she was already touching Cyborg with the 1s and 2s. And that's how she won. If Misha Tate can get that 1-2 to an acceptable speed, then she could compete with those girls at that higher, you know what I mean, top three position. But right now, without the hand speed, forget it.
No. Yeah. So it's just, like I said, I feel bad about saying it, but I mean, it is absolutely true. If you think at this, I mean, again, without all the obligations that you have, right? Before the retirement, before the husband, before the kids, before one championship, before all of it, the unretirement, all of it, right? Fucking Nunes still beat you and finished you, right? So Ronda still beat you and finished you.
But then she would say, I was in a bad relationship with that one fella, the former.
Caraway, Brian Caraway.
Yeah, Brian Caraway. I was in a bad relationship, which screwed up my mind, which blah, 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 blah. There is a legit excuse such that we can all pay attention to that excuse and give her a pass. But now
Good
adjustment
relationship. Kids.
still needs to be made. Yeah, now
Yeah.
you're in a happy place. You know what I'm saying? You're
Yeah.
giving advice to Aspen lad, blah blah blah. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So you know what I mean? You're doing all this. You're in a position where you can give advice. You understand things a lot better. You know, we get it now. We get it. Now you need to get that hand speed. It's got to change, or you will continue to get your eye busted like it did
Yeah.
last night. It is what it is.
Yeah, absolutely. And before we go, Alex Ramirez says off topic, but I don't know if you caught the Isaiah Stewart and LeBron scuffle a little while ago, leaving Isaiah bleeding. I wanted to ask
Ooh.
Woods and Voodoo, do you think Isaiah just kissed his last season in the NBA goodbye? I mean, I don't know much about the basketball, but I mean, I know about LeBron James fucking leaving. Undertaker, right? You know, when Cleveland won the championship, right? And he rocked an Undertaker shirt, whatever. And Vince McMahon saw fit to go ahead and send the Undertaker to Quicken Loans Arena in Cleveland, right? And because they didn't get any fucking permission from LeBron himself, LeBron thought he did everything that he needed to do in honoring his hero of the Undertaker by wearing the shirt on arguably one of the most important nights of his career. So there's a video on the internet of the Undertaker literally standing there for a fucking hour outside the locker room, and LeBron didn't come out. So this Isaiah fella, yeah, he might have. You piss off the king, you don't kiss the ring. Adios. You know, and this is at a time where, you know, the Staples Center, like you could have fucking got cashed out in crypto.com fucking tokens, dude. You fucked it up, bro.
Hey, this Isaiah Stewart is a name that I've never heard of
Yep.
until today. I don't know who he is. He might be very good. I have no idea who he is. But LeBron James is a name that I know. I know he is a blue chip, and you don't mess with a blue chip. You know what I mean? It's like messing with the company itself when you mess with a blue chip. Without
Yep.
LeBron, the Lakers are nothing. That's
Yeah.
just the way it's built right now. Without
So,
LeBron, the Lakers are nothing. And if you're doing that, there is a good chance that you are messing with your own employment. Most
so
definitely.
I mean, just to give it context, right? This is actually from, you know, Isaiah Stewart plays for the Detroit Pistons. Detroit,
Oh,
obviously in
okay.
Michigan, right? And this is from
Hmm.
the Michigan Live website, right? And it says
Okay.
Pistons Isaiah Stewart ejected, and LeBron James tangle up ejected during Sunday's matchup, right? So the
Wow.
Detroit Pistons and the LA Lakers have a historic rivalry, but those battles have never really come to blows. On Sunday, which is today, Isaiah Stewart and LeBron James nearly did in the third quarter of the two games regular season meeting. Less than 3 minutes into the second half, James boxed Stewart out from getting an offensive rebound from a Jerami Grant free throw. The shot fell through the hoop. James elbowed Stewart in the face, and the second year center fell to the floor. Right, James elbowed Stewart with such force that a cut opened above the Rochester native's eye. From there, things took a turn as Stewart took exception to the contact and immediately went to confront the four-time league MVP. Chaos ensued, and the Pistons players, coaches, and staff members spilled uh, onto the court to two separate piles of players arguing. The Lakers guard Russell Westbrook also had some words for Stewart, but officials were able to briefly separate the scrum of players that came onto the court. But Stewart, still in a rage, charged back several times. It took a pile of Pistons bench players and coaches and team officials to get Stewart back to the locker room. League officials reviewed the play for a possible hostile act and assessed James for a flagrant 2 violation, which immediately removed him from the remainder of the game. Stewart was given a loose ball foul before getting 2 technical fouls for the part in the fight. Blah blah blah. A lot of that, yeah, series 2, whatever. Because like to me, this is, I mean, this is like, it's big in boxing, like, I mean, fucking NBA, right? Basketball, right? The elbow and a cut opens up. I think I'm fucked up with too much MMA and martial arts in my fucking brain. That's nothing. It's fucking nothing. Like, the guys and girls that are getting fucked up for real are getting not even a fucking quarter of what Isaiah Stewart and fucking LeBron James are getting, and they're doing it 3 times a year. But one cut for multimillionaires is like, oh, big fucking news and shit like that. Then I don't know. It doesn't make sense to me.
When I was in high school, I played JV with a coach named Coach Smith. Coach Smith was badass. He was old as hell. He's this black dude, old as hell, but the pace that he jogs at was unreal, man.
Uh-huh.
You know what I mean? He'll run off, come back like in time for football practice, and he'll start coaching. That's what he does.
Wow.
Every day. Every day. He was a special dude. You know what I mean? He sets the tone. Because he was in such good shape, you want to follow him. You know what I mean? You want to follow the directive. He's that kind of guy. He will always say, "Stop being a prima donna." Basketball players to me are a bunch of prima donnas.
Yeah.
Every last one of them. Every last one of them. They're a bunch of prima donnas, overpaid. You know what I mean? So,
I wouldn't say overpaid, right? Because you could say that, but are they? They're getting pennies on the dollar compared to what you got to remember: UFC, NBA, NFL, NHL, NASCAR. They're fucking nonprofits. They're nonprofits, just like your church, just like the American Cancer Society, just like Wounded Warrior, just like CCG Komen, just like fucking Habitat for Humanity and everything like that. But they're raking in billions of dollars a year. Billions of dollars a year, right? Mm-hmm. And yes, you say like, oh, they're overpaid or whatever. Well, if those owners, right? If those owners didn't think that they deserved it, or they weren't getting, a return on investment, and again, the contracts get bigger and bigger and bigger every fucking year. You're like, oh, this guy's got a big fucking contract, and then there's somebody else that gets even a fucking more huger contract for. I mean, it's like WCW, right? You get a big contract for less days, right? So, with that all being said, that's unfortunately something that MMA hasn't got to. Boxing has got to, but it took like over 100 fucking years, right? Wrestling, if you're wrestling in pancreation, if that's what the previous day incarnation of what MMA is, right? Well, we're older than that, and we still haven't figured out how to fucking, pay out the people that are doing this shit 3 times a year, if lucky. So I'm actually not mad at that. Do I wish doctors and well, not so much doctors, but nurses and teachers and all that, should, get a $1.2 million contract and everything like that. Hell yeah, fuck yes. But, if there's no incentive to do so, like, I don't know. It's all fucked up. The way that we view things in society is fucked up, right? How educators, are being paid way less than, entertainers of sort, right? But again, there needs to be a way to entertain, and if people are going to be paying for entertainment and not for schooling or other things, right? Mm-hmm. Then that's where we're at,
the main objective will always get the funding. Only the main objective. So.
Yes. So, I mean, kudos to these prima donnas for getting these fucking contracts. And to what you say, right? The first time, God, you remember fucking Chicago, man. Chicago was like a fucking, Michael Jordan, Scottie Pippen, not Vladdy Divac, but Luke Longley. What is it? There was so many fucking great players. Oh, Horace Grant. Ron Harper. There were so many great players. Tony Kukoc. All right. Steve Kerr. Great fucking Bulls player. Right? And then like the most recent Bulls that did anything was like, and I mean, the last time that I heard them do anything was Jalen Rose, right? Or so I don't. That might not even be his name. Somebody Rose, I believe, right?
Hmm.
Derrick Rose, something like that, right? And he was
Something
always,
was.
yeah, he was always injury prone. And then this
Hmm.
big motherfucker named Joaquin Noah, who had hair out to here and tall as shit. You
Yeah, I remember
fucking
that dude.
flick that motherfucker. He flew. I mean, better than fucking Rey Mysterio. That motherfucker flew on the other side of the court, and I was like, "Fuck this, man! Fuck this, man!" So I'm sorry, and I'm sure he makes a hell of a lot more money than me, but Joaquin Noah, fucking, you know, I stopped watching basketball because of, like I I just kind of whatever because I was like if a guy as big as him, like even fucking Stephen Struve, right? He was there to fucking fight, right? 7 foot,
Hmm.
whatever the fuck, giant Silva, like whatever the fuck, like they were there to fight. You don't flick them and they fucking fly 30 feet across the damn ring and shit like that. That's what Joaquin Noah does. So whatever the fuck. But again, people are still willing to pay to watch it. So fuck it. I mean, whatever the fuck, man. So,
Yeah.
and then again, all of those owners, all the fucking the leagues, it's tax free
Hmm.
because they're
Hmm.
nonprofit. So just
Hmm.
think about that, right? So,
That's right.
um, yeah, and even the teams, right? LA this, New York that, Las Vegas there, whatever the fuck. They don't support you.
Mm.
They don't support you. They
Mm.
just
Mm. Mm. Mm.
attach. That's why the fucking Davis family. Oh, L.A. Oh, Oakland, and then back to L.A. Then back to Oakland. Then back to fucking Vegas. Which means you fucking don't matter to any of them
Mm. Why don't they teach this stuff in high school so the kids
because
understand?
because again for a lot of kids, especially in the inner city, right? In the inner city where this ball, along with a bit of education, whether it be football, basketball, in the form of Tiger Woods, right? Like golf ball, volleyball, whatever. This is your ticket out of the fucking hood, right? So if that, right, and if you know you're not the brightest, fuck, I wasn't the brightest, still not the brightest, but just enough, right, to kind of get me through, right?
Mm.
So with that all being said, you're eliminating the one fucking chance. Fuck, there was even the movie Blue Chips, Nick Nolte and Shaq. Watch that fucking movie and then get back to me, right? Sometimes it's the entire
Hmm.
family,
Hmm.
you know, way about doing it. If you know you're not smart, because it's the same thing. I Before I met my wife, I dated a girl, and I mean, her family were from both. Her mom and dad were from war-torn countries in Central America, right?
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
her getting into college was the big thing. So it's not just exclusive to sport, right?
Hmm.
But it's way too much fucking pressure, and that becomes your life. You carry the weight, and of course, as a parent, like our children carry the weights and dreams of the parents, as did we do for our own parents, right?
Hmm.
But the
Hmm.
thing about it is, it gets weird. So when you pull that fucking deal, like, oh, you're not gonna get a 4 year ride, right? Let's say if you're an Asian kid trying to get into Harvard, and they're like, no, y'all are too motherfucking smart, so we're gonna cap the amount of Asian, you know, to meet quota or whatever the fuck. Like, what are you
Give
doing?
everybody else a chance.
Yeah, but like, what are you doing? Like, is it Cody Durden all over again? Go back to China? That's fucked up,
Mm.
man. I mean, if we're
Mm.
really free, then whatever. Maybe we should adapt a lot of the ways of Asian countries where they push their kids or whatever. But then when you talk to them when they're older, fuck, if I'm an artist or whatever, my parents weren't with it. I want to be an entertainer. I want to be this. I want to be that or whatever. Anything outside of a fucking college education. That there were no hugs given around or whatever. So
Mhm.
like there's a pro and con to everything, right? So I don't know what the fuck the answer is. I mean, I'm still I mean, three of my kids are voting and drinking age and going to the strip club age, and then I've got one left. Jesus
Yeah.
Christ.
Hey man. Hey Woods, where can they find you on all social media?
Quote unquote across the board. Dumb shit memes on the Facebook and the Twitter and the Instagram, and then also the Principal Podcast. We're going different locations, man. Not only can you find it on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch, but also on bodyslam.net as well as the Grappling Network. So we're getting this show to you all across the board. If you guys haven't already seen it, just this past week had none other than WCW president, as well as TNA executive, former Raw general manager, and WWE Hall of Famer Eric Bischoff on the podcast. So some fun things coming on that front. So check that out. And then Voodoo, where can they find you on social media, my man?
You can definitely find me on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook page, Twitter, Snapchat, all Voodoo Maximus, all day long, every day. Come get some. Like, share,
Yeah.
and subscribe.
Bam. Yes, and we will see you sometime. I know there's not a UFC this weekend, but we'll figure. And actually, Thursday is Thanksgiving, so we'll probably take a hiatus for this week. But we will see you the following week with more UFC stuffs, the punchy kicking and Puerto Rican slot boxing stuff, and more voodoo in the woods.